Good morning, welcome. Those that are here in person, those that are watching online. If you're watching the replay, you could ask questions, comments, share, like, subscribe. We'll try to answer them. The Maimer is Parshas Yisroi in Torah from the Alter Rebbe. We're on page 146, a new Maimer, talking specifically about the significance of what happened during the giving of the Torah. The pasuk tells us, the entire nation saw the sounds, and the flames, or the torches, and the sound of the shofar. We have to understand, why was there a sound of shofar by Matan Torah? What's the point, the reason? Why is it necessary to have the sound of a shofar? Do they really have to have instruments? And if you need to have instruments for whatever reason, is there not better musical instruments than a shofar? It's a horn. What's better than a shofar? Harp? Okay, I'm with you. I agree.
Probably costs
The
money.
list is very long.
But it's not. There are better than shofar. There are ones that are better than shofar. Okay. Well, Indian idea is like this. Hine kol shofar, you call pashut. The kol shofar is a simple sound. Umatil emo. So the idea about a shofar is that it's a simplistic sound, and it gives fear or awe. Shu kol charada. It's the sound of trembling. When you hear a shofar sound that does that to the person, it gives him a certain fear. As the pasuk says, will they or can they blow shofar in the city and the nation won't tremble? We use this verse a lot to explain why we blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah and what it represents. But there's a certain trembling, it's tshuva and so on. This pasuk you could apply here as well. The reason why shofar was used and not another instrument, which could be better, is because it's simple and it gives a certain trembling. In Matan Torah it says there was sounds, there was lightning, and a strong sound of the shofar, which was very strong, and the nation trembled. So based on this, fine, it works. You had to have. Yes, there are better instruments. Why you need instruments altogether is still a question. But why this one specifically? Well, if it gives charada, if it causes trembling, that fits with everything else that was going on by Matan Torah, the regular mode, the theme that was happening there, that works. Ach, al kol zanikra shofar, and all this, it's called shofar. Why is this instrument altogether called shofar? Because shofar is from the word shapru, which means beautify. Like Shifra and Pua, right? She was called Shifra because she beautified the baby, made the baby, whatever, clean the baby off and so on after it's born. And Pua, her daughter, Miriam, was saying poo 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 to the baby, shushing the baby, calming it down. But Shapru is to beautify. So Shofar is the idea of beautifying, because you should beautify your actions. When one improves or beautifies their actions, their ways, it brings forth a certain tainug, which is a delight. And through this tainug, now you're causing there should be from above a coming about of delight, enjoyment, pleasure. Hashem is happy. Because this comes from the source of all delights. During Matan Torah, we needed to have evoking or bringing down tainug, delight, because delight is necessary for the existence of a lot of things in this world. When Hashem is quoted in a delightful state, it's good for the world. We had to bring that down by Matan Torah. The way that you do that is improving your ways. The way that ways are improved is by having that charada, that trembling. That happens through shofar, not through other instruments. So we have shofar to cause us to tremble, to improve our ways, brings about tainug, which brings tainug into this world, which is a very positive outcome. To understand this more, we need to understand in general what's the idea of Matan Torah. Even before Matan Torah, you had tzaddikim, righteous people. You had neviim, which are prophets. Many great giants that did Torah, learned Torah, followed Torah, existed even before Torah was given. There was even the conveying information from Hashem to mankind. It's not like Avram didn't have Torah, or the Shvatim didn't know Torah. There were many great people who had access and were preview to Torah. Avram fulfilled the entire Torah also before it was given. Like it says, he kept my keeping, meaning the instructions of Hashem, Avram Avinu kept. The only thing is, it was in a spiritual way. It wasn't in a physical way, but it was a spiritual way. He did tefillin in some manner. He did mitzvahs. There was a spiritual form of those mitzvahs. But it's not like before Torah was given, there was no access to it, and we completely did not relate to the whole idea. What change came about when Torah was given in the material sense? So Avram Avinu has an advantage, that he goes and travels south, which represents something. So yes, there were many prophets before, there were many Torah giants before, and they even kept Torah. Avram at least did. However, Avram has a quality of traveling southward, and not just traveling, but he's progressively going south. Not just traveling, but he's going and traveling. He becomes a merkava, a chariot legabe, in regards to whatever this level negba is. Okay, so he becomes a chariot, which means a conduit. He's bottle. He's enabling this level of negba, referred to as south. Briefly, we know that right is chesed, which is kindness, love, positivity. Left is gvura, severity, discipline, harshness, restraint, and so on. And when you're facing Mizrach, east, there's a spot over here if you like. If you don't want to be in the video, you could go. You won't be in the video. Well, it'll increase our views. It's all good. Okay. So when you're facing east, what's on your right? What direction? South. So south represents chesed. North, which is left of east, would represent on some level gvura. That's why the bananas.
You're talking about
language. 146. V'ajnasa merkava, until he became a merkava, till he reached that level of being a chariot, a wagon, which is just really a tool that's completely dedicated to its cause, just like a wagon doesn't have a say in which direction it's going to go. He just follows whatever the rider says. Similarly, Avram Avinu was reaching a level where he became a merkava to Hashem. He's completely dedicated. Whatever Hashem wants, he does. It's not even a question. I don't really want to, considering otherwise. But if you say so, I have no choice. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Reluctantly agreeing, but he's completely bottled. He was in the level of running and returning. It's only that in regards to the chayis of the merkava, it says the chayis was running and returning. Until Avram became a level of a merkava, there was this attitude of, not in a negative way attitude, but this mode of, how do you translate tnuah? What's a mode? A tone of going and returning, which means Ratzei V'shuv, you're running towards Hashem, but then you realize it has to be processed or
dialectical.
Tnuah is dialectical?
Dialectical.
Okay, that's Latin. What's in English? Right. That's the word I'm looking for. But the idea is that till then he was running and returning. So you have this strong desire or yearning for Hashem, for godliness, to connect. And you realize that if you only do that without the specific instructions, or the packaging, or the process, then you'll have nothing. So he has to return, settle, running, settling, yearning, and settling. Now, that was all stage one of Avram. But then he became a Merkava where he's completely, whatever Hashem wants, I'm doing. There's none of this running towards, coming back, running towards it. I'm fully there. Regarding the Chayis of the Merkava, which is in the prophecy of Cheskel, regarding the prophecy, so it says V'chayis Ratzu V'shuv. You have this idea that the Chayis, the great, let's call it spiritual energies, or higher than angels, sources of angels, and so on, they're yearning and returning and running and returning. But that's the Chayis. But Avram was higher than them. His level was beyond the Chayis of the Merkava, and he is called Holech V'Nosaya. He's going and traveling. He doesn't have the running and returning. Umahu Inyan Ratzu V'shuv. So we have to understand what is the idea of Ratzu V'shuv. Okay. This is another great mimer that talks about some fundamental ideas that we have a lot throughout Chassidus. And what is the idea of Ratzu V'shuv, running and returning? So what we have here is, before Matan Torah, we also had prophets, Tzaddikim, Avraham Avinu kept the whole Torah in a spiritual manner, but he kept the whole Torah. What happened differently by Matan Torah? We said Matan Torah had to have a trembling, and the trembling caused a improving of the ways. Improving of the ways causes a tainug l'mayla. Tainug l'mayla brings a tainug down here. It's a whole process that's going on. Well, who needs it? We already have this level. It existed here. So we explained that Avram was a Merkava. His greatness was Holech V'Nosaya, going and traveling, meaning progressively moving southward. There's another mode. It's not progressively moving. You're going and coming back. Going, it's like a swing, back, forth, back, forth. Ratzu V'shuv, Ratzu V'shuv. What's the idea of Ratzu V'shuv? That's the Chayis of the Merkava are operating in a manner of, or a level of, Ratzu V'shuv. Avram Avinu's level is beyond that. It's greater than that. Until he became a Merkava. Okay. Hine Ksiv. Could you tell the Bar Yarmulke? Or show him? Thank you. So we'll explain that Hine Ksiv Eisa Shalom Bimreimov. It says that Hashem makes peace in the heavens, or in the higher realms. It means that Hashem is making peace, thank you, in the higher realms. Peace between who? What's the fight? What's the issue here? Sheyesh Eshu Mayim. There's a mode of fire, or a level of fire, and there's a level of water, also known as Gvura and Chesed. Ve'ein hamayim mechaben es ha'esh. Water does not extinguish the fire. On that level, they're equals. They're at odds with each other, but one is not superseding the other or overpowering the other. In this world, on a basic level, water will extinguish fire, or wine from Abdullah will extinguish fire. I remember someone in Yeshiva made Abdullah on mashke, and he tried to extinguish it. The Abdullah candle didn't go very well. But water does not extinguish, in the heavenly realms, a level of water doesn't extinguish the fire. How is it possible to say that above there's fire and water? What does this mean? That the water is not extinguishing the fire, and therefore you have to make peace. What's this idea? So we understand that there's fire and water l'mayla. Let's call it chesed and gvura, and we need to have some kind of peacemaking, and that's said in Shemona Esrei and Kaddish, that he makes peace in the higher realms. The peace between the fire and the water, or the chesed and the gvura. What's this all about? Why can't water just extinguish the fire? Water and fire is ratzei v'shuv. Fire and water. Fire is the running, the yearning, there's deep, passionate desire to get close to Hashem. And the water is that cooling, returning and saying, okay, but here's how it's going to be done. And pulling back or settling from that excitement.
Is that why people go to water parks during Shul week? Because they're so on fire with the Torah, like before, so they gotta calm it down.
Or skiing. Yeah. That's the original source of Yeshiva Week. To go to Yeshiva and learn for a week.
Oh.
Okay. Fire and water, this is Ratziv V'Shuv. Ucheneda, as it's known, sheyesoid ha'esh belev. The foundation, the root of fire is in the heart. Sheshamat simoin, and that's where thirst is. How is fire connected to yearning? Because the source. Huh?
Yiras Hashem.
Yeah, because the source is in the heart, and the heart is the foundation of fire is in the heart, and that's where thirst is, and that's what's causing the ratzoi. So fire represents the ratzoi, the running towards Hashem. It says if your heart is running. Why doesn't it say if your feet are running? Because your heart is what's bringing out that yearning, that desire. Specifically your heart. Where does this desire come from? Into the heart. It comes through bina. Bina is heart. Sometimes you say, I understood it, which means I felt it. You use the term bina for leiv. Very often they're connected. The feeling level, the perception, is bina. Sheyasim el liboy, he should put to his heart, which means he should meditate. V'yisbein, he should meditate. V'gdos en seif baruch hu. Shekishmei kenhu, the greatness of Ein Seif, which as he's called, that's what he is. He's literally Ein Seif. He's infinite. Ein Seif, there's no end. Ein lei Seif, v'ein lei tachlis. He has no end. He has no conclusion. Rak hoydei al aretz v'gemer. His glory is on the land, etc. So a person is meant to be misbeinin, to contemplate, which bina and the heart is the same, or are connected, and through that contemplation, that what specifically, that Hashem is Ein Seif, He's unlimited, infinite, and all the worlds are only coming from your level of malchus, because you yourself are Ein Seif. That all of the worlds, their chayis and their existence, and their coming about from nothing to something, is from a level of malchus of Hashem, which only is a ha'ara. Something which is extending to the others, which does not negate to his atzmos and his mahos, so to speak. He is exalted, meaning Hashem himself is exalted and holy from even being categorized as worlds. I'm contemplating the fact that Hashem is Ein Seif. If he's Ein Seif, he's really infinite, truly infinite, which he is. How is there a world? He's using the level of Malchus. So this intense world that I'm amazed by is only from the level of Malchus of Hashem, because he himself is Ein Seif. He himself is Kadesh, he's holy. Holy means separated, aloof from the category of worlds. Any level of worldly energy, whether it's a level of Memale, which is immanent, or a level of Seviv, which is transcendent energy, light, however you want to describe even the higher levels, the essence of Hashem is Ein Seif. It's infinite, it's well beyond that. So a person is contemplating and saying, the world that we're interacting with, that's from Malchus. Meaning it's the lowest level where Hashem allows his energy to extend down into this world. The lower spheres. Asher al Kain, therefore, tichla v'tichsef nafshay, his soul will become consumed and strongly desired. Likolol v'libatel b'mitzius, to be included and batel b'mitzius, be'erin seif baruch hu mamish, literally in erin seif. The dovka by mamish, to connect with him, mamish, literally. Okay, so what happens is that now the person who's contemplating about this idea, and he realizes that this whole base level that I'm dealing with is all from Malchus. What I want is Ein Seif. How do I connect with that? And that desire, which is bina, because of meditation, is causing the heart, which is where the fire is from, to have this thirst and yearning to connect with the real deal. How do you connect with the real deal? Torah, mitzvahs, etc. But that's causing the running, or the fire above. And therefore the chayis is running and returning. Because what happens, the process is, Because when they grasp the chayis, which flows to them from the holiness of Ein Sof Baruch Hu, she'ein le'seif utchila, has no end and no beginning. Harehim be'erim k'marei alapidim, it's tchila, doesn't have an end or a beginning. Then they are burning like the image of flames or torches, flames. V'chenas rotzoi. Ki mishaleches, because it's going ben achayis, among the chayis. Shachayis and emshach laham, hi mishaleches tamim v'chenas rotzoi gamkin. How does rotzoi v'shuv work? So he's explaining. Rotzoi works in a healthy manner. A person has a yisbeinunus. He's thinking about the greatness of Hashem, specifically that He's infinite, and the whole world that I'm interacting with is only a malchus level, which is a very low level of sfiris, just a receiver, and it passes energy on. That causes the person to have the thirst, and now this thirst is he wants to go among all these chayis, which have the burning fire. That their chayis, which is nimshach to them, is constantly going also in a way of ratzui. Liyes vel ishech to the man or woman. Okay, 1 second. The pasuk is ishech shukasech. I think there's another pasuk that says that's ishes shukasech. The isha of your desire. 1 second. 146. Just check something real quick.
That by Bible.
It is, we're correct. The Chava says v'ishech shukasech, and this is a different lashon. I think it's a different pasuk, and it may refer. The Chava is referring to the man, right? That her thirst is to her man. I think this is the other way. 1 second. Thank you. Let's just quickly check. That's my homework.
That's your homework, Rabbi.
And yours. Okay.
You're going to get a parent conference if you don't bring it on Monday.
To become bottle and included in Erin Sei Baruch Hu Mamish, like a flame of fire which goes up from its own, meaning on its own. So we're talking about a level where the fire is reaching such a level that it's burning on its own. To be included in Ein Sei Mamish. So what happens? A person thinks about the greatness of Hashem, and then he wants to connect with Him. But then, as he's running towards it, he realizes, okay, so the way that this is done is through mitzvahs and Torah. Those mitzvahs have very specific things, like a time, a place, a measurement, a who, how, where, what, and what. What else?
All those things for sure.
Who, where, what, when, how, and why. Does it really? Okay, yeah. This level of shuv, it's from the foundation of water. So again, the fire is what's causing the yearning and running towards, and the water is the return and the calmness. And like, take it easy. There's instructions how this works. You can't just be flying with these emotions. Which is in the brain. What did you search? What did you know? So you have fire, which is maya, which is bina and liba, and that's the running, the thirst, the strong desire, which sometimes could be wild. And then you have the shuv, the return, which is the meichin, the chachma, the level which over there is water, which is calming and says, okay, hold on, this is how we're going to do it. Love, respect, water. We're going to the same category. Okay. This is what it means, return to one. It says in Ratz Libcha, if your heart is running, return to one. Okay, meaning if your heart has a strong desire for Hashem, return to one. What's one? It's one Hashem. Do what Hashem wants, not what you want. But Shuv also comes from the level of Echad, which is expressed in the idea of Chachma. Now, our question really was, how come water is not extinguishing fire, the Milo? Right?
You said because they were accidentally using mashka.
Yeah, that was one answer. The water of the Meach are not quenching the thirst which is from fire in the heart. So what's happening is it doesn't really extinguish the fire completely. You would think you have fire, you have water. Water extinguishes fire. But in the spiritual context, you have this great thirst. You want to connect to Hashem because of your hisbeinus, the meditation of Hashem as Ein Seif. The whole world is only from Malchus. You want to connect to Him. And you connect to Him through, you have to have a shuv afterwards, which is the water, which is settling. Okay, here's how it's going to work. You didn't lose your thirst completely. The fire is still there. So the water, which is good, but the water did not extinguish the fire fully. So ein hamayim mechaben esaish means water. It settled it. It made sure you don't have place on nefesh. You sold it and expire, but it didn't take away the fire. Yeah.
Fire is gone, but smoke is still there.
Fire is still there. He's not going to fall completely from his thirst and desire for Hashem. Why not? Because the heart has the ability to overpower again, to have more fire and more thirst. In other words, a passion, a chayis in serving Hashem and davening and learning and so on. And to add another layer of fire, of a strong flame, with an intense strength. Meaning that even though there's rules and times and places, I'm not going to get caught up in the details. I still have this fire, and I can easily, I'll follow the details, but I'll easily be able to regenerate that fire because I still have it and have another thirst for Hashem. Okay. Like it says, fire from water. There's different types of fire. There's a fire that consumes, that eats, so to speak, and there's a fire that is called a fire that drinks. I guess that's the smaller fire, which later has the ability to regenerate. This was the Maila and Midah of Avram Avinu, which the question was, Avram had Torah before it was given. What's the problem? But Avram was special because it was Holech v'Nasaya Hanegba. He was constantly going, progressively traveling southward, which means fire, which is greater than the water, and the white water, which is greater than the fire. So what happens is like this: Avram Avinu has a fire, and then a water, but it didn't extinguish the fire. It just made it more, I guess, stable, and brings more fire out of it again. And he has another fire, another water, until he becomes a Merkava, where he is a chariot completely bottled to Hashem, doing exactly what Hashem wants. Not regular people, they struggle, but they do what Hashem wants. And it's a very good thing that they do what Hashem wants. Avram Avinu doesn't have that struggle. It's a Merkava, he's a wagon, he's completely bottled to Hashem. All the Aves, they were Merkava, whatever Hashem said, just like a wagon. Your car is not going to debate with you. If it's turn right, you want to go right, I'll go left. It's going to do it. It's a wagon. Huh?
Unless it's Tesla.
When I was a kid, I wanted to go to the toy store. My mom used to say, let's see what the car
They
wants to
use
do.
water to control nuclear reaction in the reactor.